And then Imperia showed up with like this all in, and I managed to do a bit of damage to his natural, but he went just like all out aggression. And I was still just like starting to make tanks to stop him, but it wasn't enough. And he took out my main really, really, really easily. And then also he went right to the high yield. Like he's starting to actually learn, at least to a degree, how to play the map, but I'm just a real faggot. Unless I'm like really lagging and don't see any real hope, I'll still keep building stuff. Even in that, like there's at least like 4 or 5 times in that game where I was absolutely sure I was dead and I was pretty close to just leaving. But I figured, well, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna make it as agonizing as possible. And then Imperia had like half the map fucking covered in gateways. Like I started rebuilding my main like a 3rd time. And then he just shows up out of fucking nowhere with like all these units, and I scouted the map finally. Like I had no idea what you guys were doing that entire game. I didn't even know what you were doing.
Mostly what I tried to do against Imperia is mostly to send stuff. Since I know he was relying too much on gateway units, I prefer to try to put land zone closer to him so I can spam unit from down much closer and such. Maybe I did neglect just a bit too much because I tried just a few too many Marines that just died the storm over and over. And when eventually when you did find my expansion at the bottom right, that was my secret base to make air unit to screw over Imperia, mostly battle cruiser. Well, I usually bought like I think maybe a total of 50 battle cruiser over time, about 15 per batch, which it was just to backdoor Imperia to death. And then when you start to make all the gates way, it's then I decide to go what's called so tired.
Diamondbacks?
Huh?
Diamondbacks?
Yeah, this to kill his base.
Yeah, Diamondbacks are pretty good. Battlecruisers are surprisingly hard to kill now. Like before, if you would get battlecruisers, all I'd have to do is just make Vikings, and it's pretty much auto win. But now battlecruisers are actually dangerous.
Yep. Since with Viking you can kite, but you need to be much more careful. Instead of just kite, run a bit, kite, run a bit, and you kill all the battle cruiser. Unless he got quite a few Yamato charge to shoot you.
I had no upgrades though. Like the big reason I kept losing my Vikings to battlecruisers was because I simply couldn't do any damage to the battlecruisers. Like you were maxed out really early into the game, and I think when your battlecruisers showed up to my first rebuild, I had maybe 2-2 at the absolute maximum because Dao wasn't really getting upgrades because he wasn't even an upgrade merchant, and I had to manually rebuild my upgrades. But I went from factory first, so I had no air upgrades. And then since those two bases couldn't connect to each other on land, I pretty much had to get Vikings to cover those two bases because otherwise it's just too easy for Aryans just to go to either base. So the Vikings didn't do any damage because I had no upgrades. I managed to kill quite a few battlecruisers, but that base inevitably fell.
In my case, with all the planetary fortress I made, I would have need so much the upgraded Apex cannon, so much. It's unbelievable how much.
You got that at the end.
Huh?
Yeah, if that was available faster, it would have been so much more useful.
And I
or
think
multi-lock.
forget the Terran defenses, so I was quite minimal and.
Oh yeah, that wasn't up until the very end. The Terran defenses, but cannon shields and Zerg upgrades were up. Zerg upgrades of all things.
No.
Yeah, there was like one titanium defense appeared like after I had already killed most of your battlecruisers, way late into the game, like when it really wasn't making that big of a difference anymore.
Wow.
At that point, I like needed multi-lock because I had to keep making Goliaths to have any hope of killing air units, and they just appeared out of nowhere. But Imperia didn't really make any air units ever They just...
Yeah, he still relied
I
too
don't know
much
why
on
he doesn't
his
make any
game.
air units.
Way too much.
Like, even if he had just made some Immortals, I would have been extra screwed, because the only reason I was able to hold him off for so long in the beginning against his first 1 or 2 attacks is because I had Thoris, but like 1 or 2 Immortals would have just instantly killed me, and I probably wouldn't have been able to get in the situation I was in.
No.
Diamondbacks can kite Immortals, kind of, but in a situation where you have to fight them, the Immortals are just ridiculous. Or even Mass Colossi, for that matter. As far as detection is concerned, I don't know why he doesn't just buy Mother Overlords. That's what I do when I need detection.
Yeah.
Regardless of what race I am.
Or he gets
Does Terran... What actually...
more of Observer. I mean, most of the time, I don't know. I think Observer got 12 detection and such. I think the worst unit to screw them over, like the Sniper Commando that I did nerf the range to like 8. The rest...
I didn't see a lot of Sniper Commandos. But yeah, they do unstealthy Observers.
So,
Kind of the part of the problem is if you're not really paying attention and you're just group moving everything as one control group, things like observers and infestors and stuff just fly into whatever, which usually means they die because observers take like 1 hit and then die.
Wow.
But that's kind of avoidable. Like as Protoss, I really haven't had that much problem with detection. If I feel I'm doing really badly on detection, I just get Mother Overlords because they don't die very fast.
Yeah. And I think there's also overseers from the merchant as well, etc.
Yeah. The fuck is HKS talking about? I don't know. Yeah, I think I'll pop in the other event and see if he's even on there, because he, like, signed off, but... Other than that, I'm probably gonna go to sleep real soon.
Well then, good night.
Good night.
Coctomus Prime has left the server.